Welcome to the Success Pick and Mix podcast. I'm your host, Nicky Raby, a professional pick and mixer. I'm a personal brand coach, a speaker, an actor, a creator, and a podcaster. I'm on a mission to help you find and create your version of success. Your pick and mix of life and business on your terms. A blend that complements your personality, your goals, and your circumstances. Since 2018, I've been sharing interviews and mini episodes to help you unlock your next step, to make it real and make it happen. Round here, we dream big. We go for the ideal version. We talk about money and make moves our future selves would be proud of. This podcast is free and available for you whenever you need it. So do rate, review, and subscribe for new episodes. If you want to go deeper with my support, check out my freebies house and unlock the rooms you choose. nickyraby.com/freebies house. I also have workshops, programs, and one-on-one bespoke offerings. For prices and availability, go to nickyraby.com. Thank you, as always, for spending some time with me and my guests. Now, on to today's episode. In today's episode, I am speaking with Kim Klelund, who is based in Germany. She's a portfolio careerer like I am. Careerer, is that a word? She has a portfolio career. She's an interior designer. She's a coach. She's a creative. She's a connector. She's a talker. She's a speaker. And I've got to know Kim over the last few years because she's actually been a client of mine, and we finally got to meet in person, which is just the most special thing. I've worked with clients all around the world, and often that is on Zoom. If people are in London or the UK, we tend to meet up in person. But I love that moment when you can sit with somebody and see them. And yeah, it was such a joy. In this chat, we talk about transformation and really carving your own path and really paying attention to what brings you joy and how you cultivate that and how you know what direction to go into, and finding that balance between, as you grow, what you can do to ground yourself in those moments that are maybe tough, that are maybe tricky through the transformation. I hope you loved the chat as much as I did. If you want to buy us a cup of coffee, if you enjoyed our chat, you absolutely can. I will leave the link down below. Otherwise, the podcast is completely free for you. Enjoy, and share it with your friends. And I'll see you on the other side. Bye. Kim, welcome to the podcast. I am so delighted that you are here. Would you mind just telling everybody a little bit about yourself and your business and what you do, etc.?
Etc. Hi, Nikki. Well, I was interior designing up until 6-ish months ago with a design studio, which I've been running in Berlin for many years, and it's been the industry I've been in for almost 20 years now.
Yes, we're in those kind of numbers, aren't we now? We're talking decades. Yeah,
exactly. There's no newbie about that part of the business and what I've been doing. But I decided already in kind of 2019 that wasn't what I wanted to do anymore. So I've been actively working to change my business and transform it and make it look different since then. Sometimes patiently, sometimes impatiently. And now it's turning into what I would call a lifestyle, personal development, and interior business with a holistic approach. So that basically means I've trained again. I've learned again. I've trained as a transformative life coach. I have started a second new qualification, which is somatic therapy, because I think when you dive into new things, and you're like, oh, there's even more to learn.
Like one of those old kind of apothecary furniture units where there's like, oh, there's a hidden drawer, there's something at the back, and I want to explore it all.
Exactly. So once you get a teaser of it, then you want more. So I'm still in the process of making it all happen. And during the summer, I took a bit of a sabbatical, having finished my training and wanting to put the new things to life and start to make them happen. And so you're really catching me in the middle of cooking my soup for the next chapter or season of my life right now.
There's definitely a theme at the moment with people that I'm talking to of the next unveiling. And the difficulty is that Instagram or social media or online very much shows us the before and after, and they don't show this bit in the middle. And often that is because it's a deeply personal experience. And I was saying to somebody earlier, like, I don't like it when I go to an event that is maybe based on kind of healing or inner work, and then somebody's capturing footage for social media, because actually that experience is very, very private. So how did you first get, and this is a question that I'm asked a lot, how did you first get the niggles, the nudges of it's maybe time to start a new chapter? Because also many people, because when they've been in a situation of having 20 years under their belt, there might be a sense of, well, no, this is who I am, this is my identity, and I could I really do this? How did that process begin for you of really listening to it?
Yeah. So I think in that moment in 2019, there were sort of 4 or 5 different things that happened parallel-ish that got me thinking. One of them was meeting a very good friend of mine now, who I was going to go into business with, and we had a vision. Before we created, we spent a lot of time like digging into what is it we want it to be and do, and we had a very similar vision to what it is I'm creating now, and unfortunately that didn't happen, or fortunately or unfortunately, she's still one of my very good friends, and we've both gone on to do more or less both the same thing, but it wasn't meant to be. So really connecting with someone I would almost call a soul sister, who really saw me for me and also helped me to start question things in my life. I started a business coaching program that year, which put me in contact with lots of different people. It showed me a way that you can do business that I had never even considered. It opened me up to getting curious about marketing and all these sorts of things. I'd always told myself, oh, tech is not your thing, and like, I'm creative in one way, but I hadn't considered how could I use my creativity in many different ways. A very good friend unfortunately got very sick, and he was unfortunately my age, and that gave me one of those wake-up calls, like, life could be over, and what is it that's really, really important here? And I took a lot of space for myself. I realized I just need to slow down. Like, I cannot listen to myself if I'm really busy. And that was, I think, around the time when I started one of my second Instagram account, which in that moment was called Room to Bloom, because I realized we need space, we need room, we need our physical walls, but without that, we're not able to move forward, create awareness, all of that. And so I also noticed sort of finally that there was like this niggling, like, you're good at design, you can do design, but you're there's always a resistance to putting more out there. And I'm like, why am I resisting when I've got people who want to work with me? I'm getting clients naturally. It's all kind of rolling, you've got a lot of experience under your belt. What's stopping you from kind of going next level? And taking a moment then to just really think about, what are my values as well? What is important? What am I capable in this season of my life, which is not 25 and single, it's 42 and, well, a bit younger then, but it's now 42 and mother of 2 and a business owner. So yeah, it's being realistic, being brutally honest with yourself, and then having the vulnerability to go ahead and do it and tell other people as well.
And ask different questions of yourself. I've certainly realized that the more that I've progressed and the different doors that I've opened, and I guess every year of my life that I've been lucky to have, and hopefully it will be many more, but once you start shedding, you start to question everything. And sometimes those questions come thick and fast, and it's a bit like some kind of hideous 90s game show where you just feel like everything's flying at your face. But you're so right, that quietness, that taking a step back and going, it's okay, I can work with this pace, I can be brave in this moment and look at these things. And one thing that always strikes me about you is that you really listen to what you're drawn to. You really pay attention to what you love. And I know that probably slightly comes from the artistic background of you're drawn to textures or colors or a scheme or something like that. But I really see you as somebody who does that in your life as well. You really curate it and think about it, and don't just say, well, I should do, this is what a 42-year-old woman looks like. And I think you have that rebellious streak that I have of saying, says who says that? Not me, because it doesn't work for me.
Yeah, 100%. And I think what people don't tell you about when you know, getting older, so to speak, you know, we're by no means old, but when you become more mature and
experienced and wise,
wisdom, all that good stuff, life changes. And I don't think people tell you how much it changes, and yeah, what it means to be a mum, you know, like what I wanted then and how I was. There's still the essence of me has always been the same, you know, across countries and languages and everything else. But I see so many mums, you know, like hunched over and pushing her, and I was like, I don't want to be that person. I've never been that person, and that doesn't mean I'm saying what anyone else is doing is wrong, but you get into that mode and that role and a way of being, and then you kind of are on that, and
it becomes your new normal, doesn't it?
Your new normal, and because it's busy and it's kind of intense, and you're not so autonomous in what you choose to do, then all of a sudden you're kind of just doing it because you're doing it because it's what needs to be done, but it's not proactively thinking, what could it be like, or what's important. And from someone who has always been very spontaneous, I'm amazed at the amount of planning I do now.
Yes, and because that's the sort of the way it has to be, because whatever happens, and you know, we've got a sign on our front door of like the list of what everybody needs for that particular day. I should write Mattie's, like, you need your keys every single day, don't leave them behind. But I guess, how have you found, or what tools or modalities have helped you to keep coming back to that essence of you when life gets busy or mundane, if I can say it, you know, when you're feeling like you're going through the motions? What helps you connect with that sparky side of you once again?
I think there's probably been about 3 main things. One of them being journaling. Journaling has become a big thing for me, because I always thought journaling was a, you know, it's more diary, or, you know, I saw these bullet journals and was so put off for so long. And then when I realized it's just a place to brain dump and be reflective and, you know, put some thoughts and ideas down, then it's so powerful, you know, going back and seeing how far you've come, or you feel like, oh, I'm not feeling as good now as I was a month ago. And then you look back and you see, oh, but I was doing this, this, and this. And that's why my cup was full, you know, from going out or listening to music or dancing or whatever it is you need. So that's a constant. And sometimes I do it every day and sometimes I don't do it for 2 weeks. You know, that's also not a must. It's just, it's a tool that's available to me.
And I love it when those tools are easy for you to pick up and they almost have that old man in or old woman in an armchair of like, it's like that older version of yourself. Like, I'm here whenever you need me. Like, I'm not going anywhere. Like,
exactly.
Yeah, you can reconnect at any time.
Yeah. And I think it doesn't matter what tool it is. A lot of people get very dogmatic about it. I should, or I must, and it needs to look the same today as it did yesterday. And, you know, we're not robots, you know, so it can have its ebbs and flows. So that is one. Nature and moving, full stop. When the body moves, the brain grooves.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
So yeah, and that's been one of my, since COVID, that was one of my main intentions, which I kept in the forefront, and I kept on putting it down in the journal again and just reminded myself it doesn't matter how you move. You don't need to jog anymore. You can just walk. You don't need to go out. You can do qigong with someone's live Instagram whatever thing. You can take half an hour walk with the kids in the woods. It doesn't matter. But like, I really felt my joints get rusty and I'm still having to oil them intensively now because I let it slide for a bit.
Yeah. And it's so not the conversation that we're perhaps given in terms of society, that it's all about getting into your genes or all of that 90s stupid diet culture. I have to physically do something to make my brain work now. I'm not just waking up my body. I have to, because otherwise it sounds very scientific and I'm not a science person at all, but I sometimes feel those days where I actually have to change the chemistry of my brain. It can feel very stuck and stagnant, and I need to, oil it up, as you say.
Yeah. So that's the second thing. And I think the third thing, which became pretty obvious for me those years ago, was that my brain was full of a lot of heaviness, just thinking about one thing. I had one stressor in my life at the time, and all I was thinking was, how can I speak to them about this and this? How can I do that and that without annoying them? How can I? And I was like, oh my God, like, you were made for more in this world.
Right.
You know, and all you're thinking about is how to communicate with one person properly. And that is soaking up every life force and essence of yourself. And if you do that, you will not be whoever it is you want to be, and you will not be living your fullest and best life. So I think it's easy not to notice how much thought we give to things which drag us down and which pull us down. And it doesn't mean that we can't be sad or lonely or anything else, but that's like a feeling, almost like a visceral thing, whereas my head was busy, and it meant that I couldn't be in the moment because I was just thinking, and that just exhausted me. So it was a process of getting rid of that, and now in a place of, because I don't have that and I don't have a lot of other stresses, now if something does stress me, I notice it viscerally in my body, like, oh getting a bit heated now, like, oh yes. God, the anger always sits here with me, and like I can feel it burning. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to have an honest conversation with someone now, you know. And I'm able to do that. And so because it doesn't sit around and create weight in my life, I'm able to speak it and do something about it pretty quickly. And that's really practicing getting to know yourself.
And you know what the ideal version is for you. And I think, again, that takes work, because so often we don't know that. And maybe this is what 40s is about, is the shedding and the actually looking at stuff and saying, does this actually how have I ended up doing this thing? Like, I don't know how I just and I think it's a popular thing that happens with women, is that we suddenly just fold and bend into particular roles or situations just because we can. And yeah, the 40s is definitely the analyzing and the shedding, and sometimes that can be quite painful along the way. But again, going back to the ultimate vision of, I know what it is to feel good, I am now determined to strive towards that place and make it my normal wherever I can, and try and get to that place where I'm much more in that camp than not. Like I was saying to you another time, like I have this thing with sugar, is that I want sugar in my life, but I'm so addicted to it. And the more I have, the more I want. And so now I've got to a stage where I have to just have it less than I have it. And that's just the thing. Like, and that's a balance, that's an ebb and a flow that works for me. But yeah. I'm definitely having some today. I've got some chocolate in the fridge already.
Well, I think that's also like realizing that if you do want to change, then there's steps you can do to make that easier for yourself. So taking the friction away from going for that morning walk, swim, run, meeting your friend, whatever it is, instead of going, oh, I've got to find the stuff first, and oh, I don't know where it is, or oh, it's in the wash still, or whatever, you know. So give yourself, you know, make it easy for yourself. You know, you want to do it. You know, you always appreciate the fact that you've done it afterwards. You're proud of yourself. You feel good. It's easy to find excuses not to do these things because it's just easy to stay at home and chill or whatever it is, you know. So taking that friction out has been one of my main things as well, especially to do with the movement, because I find that now it doesn't come as naturally, because before I had like, oh, you should go for a run, like, should, you know, you were running, you even did half a marathon, and you know, this sort of stuff not long ago. It's like, yeah, but that's where my body is now, you know.
Sometimes when you get into a habit that there is that resistance to begin with, I now have got to a stage with some of my habits, not all of them, because a lot of them are definitely a work in progress, where if I don't do it, I'm always more frustrated with myself, because it's like, you're going back on what your plan is, you're going back on the person that you're becoming, you're cheating yourself, because actually nobody else cares. I mean, you might put it on Instagram that you've just been for a run, but nobody else really cares. But I'm always looking at how I'm sitting with myself, and am I making decisions that are ultimately moving me closer to what it is that I want? Because in the end, it's just me that feels shit if I don't do it. So 100%. What is the next chapter for you? Where are you going next? What are you excited about? And what does this, we were talking about this in another podcast, moving from that chrysalis into that butterfly. And already you might be in the butterfly, I know you are in many situations, but what are you seeing for yourself next?
So right now it's putting some new courses and workshops online, which I'm going to be hosting in November. These are ones some new ones and some that I teasered and tried out during COVID. One is called Connect, Reset and Realign, which is more on the personal development front, because I think autumn time is just a great time to take stock.
Totally.
And the other one is a mixture of personal development and interior, which is called Connect with Yourself to Feel Nourished at Home. So I have those two coming out in November. I am, as I mentioned at the beginning, not taking on projects for the interior design stuff anymore, but I am doing online and locally here in Berlin consultations, which means my time is much more plannable, which is what I need in my life right now. And coaching clients, of course, and mixing what I call holistic life design, which is a fusion of the two for anyone who wants to dive in even deeper. So they're in the making, and I'm doing it all, so to speak, but it doesn't feel like, I mean, for some people that might already sound like a lot, but for me, I thrive on diversity. So
Me too. Me
you know,
too.
that gives me a lot of energy, and once those are kind of have found their groove, then, well, you know, I've been simmering on a podcasty
They're
YouTube
ready for it, Kim. People are
for
waiting.
a while.
They absolutely are.
Yeah,
And what you say there about really checking in with how that makes you feel and your energy is so key, because I know I talk about it so much on the podcast and in my work, but it's about designing that business model that really works for you. And to give another sort of tangible example is that there are some people who just look great in a white t-shirt, jeans, and a jacket, and that's their uniform, and you're going to see a variation of that thing. And then there are some people, like I've got a pal like Simone, and I'm like, what looks are you going to bring me today? Like, I can't wait. And, you know, she can go into eras and decades and shapes and styles. And that's how I like to see my business model. And the same as yours is that it's exciting. It's exciting to have that sense of being able to create something and make it real and make it happen in the here and the now and the present moment, and then earn income from it. It's a dream.
yeah. And I think these days also that part of being a business owner and having a multifaceted one skill set and secondly income stream means that when the world changes or when the shit hits the fan with whatever's going on in life, it means that you're not suddenly thrown into some sort of fight or flight and oh my God, what am I going to do now? Because I think there's nothing worse than just living in fear of that survival. You know, that's one of the biggest stresses I think in a lot of people's lives. And and I always appreciate
your path could be stopped at any moment, because I've heard it with friends in corporates, like, oh, we got a new manager and they don't really like me. And it's like, well, what does that mean then? Do you like don't get the opportunity or the promotion, or what happens then? And you're right about being able, and all of like your things and my things is they all actually feed into each other, that they're not confusing. It's not like I'm a hairdresser on a Saturday and a welder on a Tuesday, and then I do a bit of coaching and acting in between. Although I'd quite like to meet that version of myself. I am a bit of a frustrated hairdresser. Now my daughter's hair is long enough. I'm like, right, what should we do? Plaits, ponytails, what are we making? But we can get to that stage with that when we're in flow, is that all of the things feed into each other, and actually you become better at all of the things because the skill sets are high-fiving each other and all interwoven.
Absolutely. And I think design has really taught me, and also, you know, the fact that I have lived in different countries and speak multiple languages, I've had to learn the language of reading people and reading between the lines and what the body says and all of this sort of stuff. So that's kind of, I guess, also where a part of my intuition comes from, in terms of, well, is that what they're saying, or what is the body actually telling me, you know? And so I think whatever it is I do, it's all about alignment to yourself, alignment to me, and that's the only thing I can try to live, and also be honest about how it's going, because I have days when it's really difficult too, you know. Let's be honest about it.
And it changes all the time, like how you might feel on a bright sunny day when you've had, I was going to say 10 hours of sleep. I never have 10 hours of sleep, but like a solid 7.5, I'm like, oh my gosh, I could take over the world. And then there's other days where I'm like, no, it's not going to happen today. It doesn't matter how fancy or convoluted the plan looks like, it's just not going to happen today, and that's fine as well. And so if people want to come and explore your work and see more of what you're all about, where is the best place for them to go to?
They can follow me on Instagram, which would be, the interior stuff is House of Lund, which HAUS of Lund. And Kim Talks, Kim_Talks_, or on my website, which is under construction for the new branding.
As all these things are.
As all these things are.
Yeah,
but
they take their time and they are birthed when they are birthed.
Yeah, kimklelund.com, but all the details to get in touch with me are still on there. And in both of those places, you'll find links to me and to the courses I'm hosting or the workshops. They're in English, they're in German. Yeah.
Your language abilities are incredible. It's so good. And I think there's just that potential for that global business, of all of the potential of doing all of the things. I can't wait to watch this space and see what this next iteration is. And we finally got to meet in real life, which was such a treat as well. So in one of my favorite places, Hampstead Heath. So only took
a couple of years.
Yes, exactly. I'm cheering you on as always. And
likewise.
It's so exciting. And as I mentioned, go and follow Kim, see what she's up to. And it always makes me think like, right, okay, what am I going to do with my house? What's the next project? I think the kitchen is the next project, but that is for another day.
Yeah. Awesome.
But thank you so much for this chat today. I really
thank you too.
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. If you haven't already, feel free to rate, review, and subscribe for all the brand new episodes. If you want to go deeper with my support, check out my freebies house and unlock the rooms you choose. nickyraby.com/freebies house. I also have workshops, programs, and one-on-one bespoke offerings. For prices, availability, or just to have a chat with me, go to nickyraby.com. Thank you, as always, for spending some time with me and my guests, and I'll see you next time.